going inside the issues of our community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
People come here to drink and to smoke. They don't come here to jump on a treadmill and eat yogurt.
I think it's every business right to have that, to do what they want in their own business. Is tobacco illegal? No.
I know personally that 90% of the people would rather go into a place that haven't got cigarettes. It's just amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against smoking, but the thing is, if you're doing 70% food, you shouldn't be allowed to smoke.
I really am very cautious whenever we talk about legislation that impedes our liberties.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. The conflict between science and public health on the one side and history, custom, and economics on the other side has long framed the debate over the impact of secondhand smoke across the United States. Scientifically, the negative health impact of secondhand smoke is well established. According to the Centers for Disease Control, it causes 53,000 deaths of non-smokers every year. But the freedom to smoke in public, just minutes south of a state that publicly banned smoking in public places, has given Northern Kentucky bars and restaurants a competitive edge, or at least that's the perception. A proposal to ban smoking in public places in Northern Kentucky is obviously controversial. To discuss the effort to make Northern Kentucky public spaces smoke-free, I am joined by Linda Vogelpohl, the chairperson of Northern Kentucky Action, and Joe Geraci, a volunteer with the American Cancer Society. Welcome to Newsmakers. Joe and I, even though Joe, I don't think you've ever been on the show, are longtime friends. So,
thank you for having us.
Where does this stand right now? There has been talk about the possibility of Northern Kentucky going smoke-free for some time. Where does it stand right now?
Basically, the discussions still are continuing with the elected officials. The judge execs, we have a very open dialogue with them. They are discussing not the need for some type of policy, but the makeup of that policy.
Okay. And Joe, you're a volunteer with the American
Yes.
Cancer Society, but this isn't just a theoretical, statistical issue for you, is it?
No, it's not. I'm, as of March of 2009, I will be cancer-free for 5 years. I had lung cancer.
And did you smoke?
I did not smoke.
You never smoked?
And I did lobby in Frankfurt, where there is a lot of smoke in the state capital, at least then. But that's where we feel that I did get secondhand smoke and lung cancer from being in the halls of Frankfurt, which is now smoke-free.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But so this is a policy decision, it's a scientific question, but it's also, for many, many people, it's a very personal question. There was a poll that was taken in early June, and some of the results of that poll are very interesting. And let's take a look at, first off, whether people think that secondhand smoke is problematic. And what we see here is that 52% see that it's a serious, this is a poll in Northern Kentucky, 52% see that it's a serious hazard, 24% see that it's a moderate hazard. And one of the figures that I found particularly interesting, young women between 18 and 49, 80% saw that this was a serious or moderate hazard. So that shows you don't have to go out and convince people of the data, I guess. Is that what that tells you?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. We do not have to convince the general public or the elected officials that secondhand smoke is a tremendous health hazard. That's well known. The challenge comes in how do you get this accomplished, and the other issues of too much government, the economics of the issue. Those are really the challenges that we have faced since June, before June, and consist today.
Joe, you just mentioned before, but you worked in lobbying,
Yes.
working with elected politicians. You know the sorts of concerns that they have to weigh, they have to take into account. What's it going to take to convince them? And let me get this clear. Who actually has to make the decisions here? Are you going to the judge executives? Is this on a countywide elected official level, or is this a popular vote? What do you see actually happening here? How will this happen?
Well, the strategy and the approach we've taken through Linda's great work is that we're going to the counties, through the judge execs and the commissioners of each of the 3 counties, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell. We know we have support of the judge execs, Judge Drees, Pendry, and Moore. We're working diligently with the commissioners so that it's going to be a full effort and everyone's backing it, for it. We know the population want it. It's just trying to convince the commissioners in the counties.
And I guess what I was leading you to, and then I led you away from it, is elected politicians have to be sure that if they do something like this, they don't face the wrath of the voters in the next election. I mean, that's something that you have to bring people along to.
Sure, and that's where grassroots efforts on the part of all of the action councils that are getting together to get grassroots support to show the commissioners that the populace is for this.
Linda, we have some other results here from the poll that was done in June, and it speaks to the attitude of people about actually passing a law. Again, I think this is very encouraging. Strongly favor passing a law 50%. Whenever you have 50% at this stage, somewhat favor another 15%, and the strongly oppose a ban or an ordinance only 23%. That shows, I would think you could use that with the politicians to get at this point that Joe and I were just talking about, that there is support here in the populace.
And we have shared these results with them, and you're absolutely right. We have talked to the elected officials, the judge execs, about what the community wants. They want to hear from the community. Our grassroots supporters are emailing them, calling them, and I think we had some interruption because of the general election. That really took everybody's attention away, but certainly that's where we're focusing right now.
So if you then move this forward, in Ohio this was done statewide. Well, it was actually done in piecemeal and then done statewide, but it was done by voters.
That's right.
What would happen in Kentucky? Do you face a possibility that the commissions and the judge executives could support this and then face a referendum to turn it back, and you'd have to fight that kind of battle? What do you think you're facing?
Kentucky's very different than Ohio in that it is done within the counties or the municipalities. It would take the General Assembly to put this on an elected vote, just like what happened in Cincinnati. We're just very different. What we anticipate is the judge execs really wanted this to be all three counties. That was their mission from the beginning. And so what will happen is they would raise this in a hearing, and they would verbalize the ordinance, and then it would go through that process of being voted on in the counties approximately the same time, and then it would just require the vote of the commissioners to accept that.
So what we're talking about, one of the key things is all three counties cooperating and collaborating with each other, so nobody's out there by themselves.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's presented a little bit of a challenge because we actually had the votes in Boone County.
Okay.
And so because we're waiting for all three counties to come on board, that creates a bit of a challenge. That's the way the judge execs wanted it. Our main goal as a coalition is to provide support and evidence-based information to them so that the decisions that they're making are informed.
Joe, you've worked a lot in Frankfort. You even mentioned Frankfort before. I want to put up a map of not just Kentucky, but of our tri-state. And you can see it here. Anything in blue is smoke-free in public spaces. Okay, all of Ohio. But then if you look at the major metropolitan areas in Kentucky and Indiana, including Lexington, Frankfort, Louisville, they're smoke-free now.
Right.
I was amazed when I saw this map. I mean, Northern Kentucky actually sticks out for not being smoke-free as a metropolitan area.
There are now 21 locations in Kentucky that are smoke-free. And we, in Northern Kentucky, are the largest metropolitan area left in Kentucky that is not smoke-free. So when people say it'll never happen in Kentucky, the map shows that's not correct. It is happening in Kentucky.
How long ago did that happen in some of the, let's take a Frankfort, which isn't a huge city by itself, still a lot of agriculture, sits right in the middle of the agricultural belt. How long ago did that happen, and how much resistance was there?
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of resistance in all the different locations. From what I understand, Linda, correct me, I think it was Lexington was the first back in 2004.
Okay.
And a number of restaurant owners came forth that were also elected officials, and they wanted to have smoke-free, and that's how it started.
So
and it's grown from Owners.
Owners wanted it smoke-free because that was more attractive to people who wanted to come in. In Ohio, there's been some controversy about maybe we made too many places smoke-free. Private clubs, the Eagles, the Moose, whatever. They should have options or something. How would this be structured in Northern Kentucky?
Well, we support a comprehensive ordinance that prevents smoking in any public places. You know, again, our efforts are to be a support and a resource to the elected officials. And so if they come back to us with something such as the private clubs, then our responsibility is definitely to show them the disadvantages, but also to be a support to them. One of the big issues that Lexington faced was the fact that initially they did not go comprehensive, and it opens the door for litigation to the tune of over $300,000 that they spent. So, you know, we believe that our main function is to be a support and to help them not go down some of the paths that are going to lead them astray and cause problems in the long run. And comprehensive is the way to go. You know, the restaurant owners that we've talked to want an even playing field. They don't want exemptions. They want it to be fair and above board. That's also going to help prevent litigation. It also helps in terms of enforcement. A comprehensive policy just makes it clean and smooth all the way through. But we're certainly willing to talk to them in terms of some of those types of issues.
Well, Joe, even though your phone is going off, we're just about out of time anyway. And thank you very much for being here. Realistically, we just have a few seconds left. How quickly do you think something's going to happen here, come before those elected officials?
We hope that something will within the next few months.
Next few months. We're going to follow this. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And the Great American Smokeout, I think, is coming up. So
yes.
Anyway, stay tuned. After the break, an investigative report on the 911 system. Welcome back. Everybody knows the number 911, and in the vast majority of cases, the response is incredibly swift and efficient. But as Local 12 reporter Jeff Hirsh found in a recent investigation, this is not always the case.
Here at Western Hills Kung Fu, teaching master Martin Ware preaches discipline, self-control.
I want more height. Try it again.
Know what you're doing at all times.
You have to get that low if you want to win an international competition.
Yes, sir.
But what happened to this man and his family at the hands of Cincinnati's 911 operators was like a swift kick to the head.
The 911 operators, Keystone Cops.
I got a file at 1052 Delhi Pike, 1052 Delhi Pike.
It was Christmas morning. Martin and his wife Amy were getting ready to take their kids, 3-year-old Grace and 2-year-old Monica, to Grandma's. Martin noticed the light switch in the girls' room was smoldering, melting.
Is that a house or an apartment? It's a house, electrical fire. It's electrical fire? Upstairs. Out, sir? Yes, I'm going out now. Get everybody out now.
It should have been quick. One Cincinnati firehouse is only about 3 minutes away from this home, the house that burned. Another firehouse only about 4 minutes away. But Cincinnati's 911 turned what should have been something simple into a complete disaster, sending fire trucks to the wrong location, being rude to the Wares when they called back. And it wasn't just one operator who made a mistake, it was 5. A total fiasco. A fiasco which turned what should have been a 3-minute response time into an agonizing 15 minutes plus nightmare. The national goal for fire response is 6 minutes. This one was not even close.
My kids had slept in that bedroom the night before. If it had happened just a couple hours earlier, my kids could have been killed, and they would have been in the time that it took the firemen to get there.
The delayed response also turned what should have been a minor repair job into almost a total rebuild. This video may not look like much outside, but inside, the house was devastated.
It was over $100,000 worth of damage.
So how could something like this happen? And perhaps more important, could it happen again? Let's start with phone call number 1, when the fire was so small the smoke detectors were not even buzzing. The time, 11:18 3/4.
Okay, Delhi Pike, sir, or Delhi Avenue? Delhi Avenue. Okay.
So far, so good. Delhi Avenue is the correct name, even though everybody out here calls it Delhi Pike. It's the same street. But it was good of the operator to clarify. Then, however, things got bad and then got worse. According to a city investigation, the first 911 operator only put limited information into the new computer-assisted dispatch system. And when the computer gave a list of streets beginning with D, instead of putting in Delhi, the operator put in Del Monte, which is where the fire trucks were sent.
Engine 24, 17, truck 24, truck 17, squad 14, rescue 24, respond. One alarm at 1052 Del Monte Place between Warsaw and Brevier. That's 1052 Del Monte Place.
Within 3 to 4 minutes, police and fire were on Del Monte Place, where, of course, there was not only no fire, but no 1052 either.
17th, we're on the scene. You got a better address? There seems to be no 1052.
That's negative. No further information on Del Monte Place. No call back, no name, nothing.
And that, according to the city's own investigation, was one operator error, not taking the caller's name, not getting his phone number, which, by the way, that number is automatically displayed at the 911 center. But without anybody to call back, firefighters responding over on Del Monte made the logical assumption.
District 2, all companies in service. Malicious, false.
But it was a real alarm, and here at the real address, 1052 Delhi, the Wares were starting to panic. At 11:24 and change, 6 minutes after they had first called 911, the Wares called 911 again and got a different operator.
I called a fire truck, and it's not here. My house is on fire.
Address to give when you call.
1052 Delhi Pike. They need to hurry. My house is on fire.
Hold on. Are you in Anderson Township or City of Cincinnati?
No, I'm in City of Cincinnati.
Don't scream at me. I can talk to you, okay?
Oh, my house is on fire.
I mean, I felt like I was going through the McDonald's drive-thru, and he's just, here you go. Just leave me alone. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and just, they'll be here when they get here, And nobody seemed to find it urgent that my house was on fire.
Yeah. I didn't talk to you, okay? Hold on. I'm looking.
I don't care.
I'm looking what's wrong. One moment.
Is our room burning?
1052 Delhi Pike, or 1052 Del Monte Place?
Delhi Pike.
All right.
DELHIPIKE.
Ma'am, I can spell. Hold on, okay?
Don't even, oh my God.
I'm just thinking I'm going to stand here and watch my entire house burn down without ever getting a fire truck.
By now, 6 minutes after the first 911 call, the fire was obviously on Delhi, not Del Monte, and then a passerby even called with a cross street.
Okay, it looks like a house is on fire at Rosemont and Delhi, basically.
At 11:26, 8 minutes after Martin Ware's first 911 call, the correct address is finally entered by an operator at the 911 center. The Wares call back again.
I called before. The lady told me, did you tell him Del Monte Avenue? No, we told him Delhi Pike. I need a fire truck. My house is burning. If they'd have come when it started, this would not be this bad.
Let me talk to her.
They're not even talking back to me now.
Come here. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Look, 1052 Delhi Avenue, it's corner Delhi and Rosemont. I called 10 minutes ago.
All right, sir, they are on the way there.
Actually, they were not, because even though the correct address had finally been entered into the system by a 911 operator, according to a city investigation, the fire dispatcher who actually sends out the trucks apparently never picked up on the change. Why? Well, the 911 center had just switched to a new dispatch system 1 month before. Under the old system, in case of a change, an audible warning tone sounded to alert dispatchers, send the fire trucks to a new address. But the new system only showed a visual flag, and if you didn't see that flag, you didn't do anything. So the fire companies were still on their way back from what seemed like a false alarm on Del Monte, and the Wares called back again.
Are you in Cincinnati?
It's Cincinnati, Delhi. We're sitting with all the fucking houses.
Sir, let me tell you something, okay? I understand your house is on fire, but you don't have to use that language with me.
After all this, incredibly, fire trucks were still not on the way. In fact, the fire was only discovered when an engine crew returning from Del Monte happened to notice the Delhi Avenue address in their mobile computers and headed for the scene.
Engine 24, emergency.
Go ahead with your emergency.
Engine 24, did you dispatch anybody to the correct address at 1052 Delhi? We've got a water alarm fire right now. Knock the box.
Okay, we'll knock the box. Corrected address, 1052 Delhi Avenue.
Other trucks arrived by 11:33 and 34.
District 1, we got a two-story frame, single-family dwelling. We got smoke showing from the second and third floor.
The fire was finally out at 11:42, 24 minutes after the first 911 call. The Wares admit they themselves may have lost control a bit, but they always spelled out, sometimes literally, where the fire was.
Delhi Pike.
All right.
Delhipike.
And as their frustrations mounted,
I think my wife made the comment like we were going through McDonald's. It was worse than McDonald's on any day of the week. We had 5 911 operators. She was treated badly. I was hung up on. As a citizen, I was hung up on. That's ridiculous. That's their job.
the Wares are not completely without fault. The correct name of their street is Delhi Avenue, not Delhi Pike. Operators cannot be expected to know every street's nickname, but even if callers are confused, scared, or difficult, the 911 operator has to calm them down. The job manual even says, "We are professionals and as such are held to a far higher standard than others, even callers."
I was heart-sickened. It is definitely not the kind of service that we train our employees to provide.
The 911 center is run by the police department. Officials say they have apologized to the Wares and have taken steps to make sure something like this never happens again. There have been modifications to the new computer-assisted dispatch system, which, as we said, had been in place for only a month.
We looked at that, tweaked the software, and then also did some refresher training on what the differences were and how we should address them.
For example, that warning tone for dispatch changes, the one taken out of the new system, is back in for emergencies. But apart from the technology, there's the human factor. Hey, the Wares admit that, look, mistakes can happen, but it's how people react to those mistakes which is critical. And even though insurance covered the Wares' damages at their house, they say they should get some payments from City Hall to cover what they had to go through.
We were just treated piss poorly. There's no other way of saying it. I mean, it was bad.
5 911 operators have been disciplined, written reprimands for neglect of duty, for shortcomings such as putting in the improper location of the fire, failing to take callback information, ceasing to speak with the caller, and making no attempt to calm that caller, being rude and abruptly disconnecting. In other words, hanging up on Martin Ware.
We train our people not to get excited, to feed into the frenzy, because that makes the situation harder to get information from people, but not answering people back, making them feel like what they're calling about is not being able to empathize with them, to me, is a problem. And we've worked to address that.
Besides the reprimands, each operator has received what's called administrative insight. Sit them down, explain what they did wrong, and tell them how to do it right. Also, coordination between operators who take in calls and dispatchers who send out fire trucks has been reviewed.
And what we do anytime we look at one of these situations is not just look for the quick, easy solution, aha, it's a person problem, but where, as an agency, can we make improvements?
But the Wares say that's not enough. They want at least some of the operators suspended or even fired.
Mistakes happen. 5 mistakes the same day, 5 911 operators, none of them took callback information.
I just think that it was kind of brushed under the floor like it didn't matter, no big deal, but I think it could happen to somebody else.
911 supervisors say they are taking the issue seriously, but firing operators is not easy, and in this situation, the city says not appropriate. Under their union contract, operator discipline is based on what's called a matrix, which includes an employee's previous records. Officials say these employees did not have bad histories, so the city felt the best thing to do was to make them better workers and let this sad saga be a lesson for everyone else.
Not only were these employees spoken to, but we took this as a learning factor for other employees. And this type of incident is not only individualized for the training, what caused the errors to begin with become part of the general training, and that is a constant operation of ours.
Cincinnati's 911 operators handle 300,000 emergency calls a year, just about all with courtesy and efficiency. But a colossal foul-up like this case can ruin the reputation of the entire operation. Police officials say 2 of the 911 operators have since resigned following their reprimands. The Wares house has been fixed, but there are still emotional aftershocks. The kids cling tighter to mom and dad.
Okay, come here.
Aw, say hi.
And as for the parents, while their house is fine, something else remains damaged. Martin and Amy Ware's faith in the system.
I mean, I always felt safe that you could always call 911 and they would just come.
I can't even hear a truck coming, and my house is burning.
Jeff Hirsh, Local 12.
Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Have a good week.